Hi, good day, it's
Hello.
Ryan.
Hey, what's up?
How's it, buddy? It's Tim here from the Metalist. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Can't complain at all. Ryan, thanks a lot for taking the time out to talk to us.
It's no problem.
So, June, you guys are going to be hitting our shores. What are you guys looking forward to?
I've heard we're gonna see some crazy wildlife, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, I don't get any of it where I live. So, I mean, there's a nice zoo, but that's about it.
Tell me, your first full-length album, Descendants, that was recorded independently. How was that experience different from anything you did on Solid State?
Mainly, I mean, a big difference is all of us had to sell a bunch of stuff and save up a bunch of money. We had to spread it out a lot, like recorded it, saved up more money, get it mixed, all that. So there wasn't like a space where we were just there like we are now. And we're all working other jobs at the time, but we also weren't touring. That was the only album we've done. Well, I guess Creation Destruction too, where we weren't touring as a job. So now it's our job to tour. So finding free time to write is a little more of a challenge.
You decided to re-record Descendants again under the Solid State banner. What was the thought process behind that?
We figured, we noticed people weren't really listening to it as much anymore. And Solid State said, well, we could re-put it out under these conditions. And we thought it'd be better for people to hear it again, because we made a lot of new fans once we signed, than for it to kind of disappear into history.
Tell me, there's been a trend in metalcore of late to incorporate a lot more melodic elements in songwriting process. And while the Death Grip has definitely got some melodic elements, the album generally does feel heavier. Would you agree with that statement?
Mm-hmm.
And what was this a conscious effort from the band?
I do agree, and a big part of it is all of us grew up just loving heavy music and the heavy aspects. Like, Bob and I grew up listening to Whitechapel, Acacia Strain, Black Dahlia Murder, and Impending Doom. And but at the same time, we also really liked bands like A Day to Remember. We were like, how could we? I want to have some melodic aspects, but at the same time, I really like the heavier side of metalcore and deathcore and all that. So I was like, let's try to find a way to merge the two onto a record.
The lyrics seem a lot more darker and more personal on Death Grip. Death seeming to be sort of the common theme that runs through it. What influences did you pull from while writing the album?
A lot of it had to do with just death in general. I've been very fortunate to not have lost many loved ones during my time. I lost my grandpa when I was 11, and that's about as close as it's gotten. So I wanted to dive into death a little more, because I know a lot of people go through it. So I tapped into things like the Rwandan genocide, which is stacking bodies, is children soldiers, which is what Disease is about, and songs like Cold Room, which covers a mom's struggles with her abortion, and just a bunch of other aspects of death.
Tell me, Death Grip marks the first release that actually featured the same members from the album before. Did you find that helped to make it a lot easier when it came to the writing process?
Oh, 100%. Just, I've never had the ability to have a full squad that's toured together when we entered the studio, like you said. So by the time we went in to do Death Grip, everybody was way more comfortable and able to criticize without backlash or anger. We're very good with criticism now, which is something you learn after being friends for a few years.
You guys are going to be releasing a new album later this year. The first track would have dropped by the time this interview airs. I think it's coming out tomorrow.
Correct.
Yeah. What can you tell us? What can you tell us as far as what to expect from the new material?
The new material, it's kind of a maturity, or whatever the right maturation of the band. It's a lot more metal than all of our previous records. A lot more riffs. There's some guitar solos. But at the same time, we keep the heaviness. But I've told people on this record, when we get heavy, we make sure it's really heavy and it's a little more aggressive this time around, faster paced. And then when we sing, we really like go in on the melodic side of things and we don't merge as much of the deathcore with singing and songs as we used to, but there's still elements throughout the record. We just don't mix them as much.
Tell me, what would you say has been the biggest highlight for you so far playing for Fit for a King?
Biggest highlight is just getting to travel the world and see all these places that I never thought I'd see. When we tour to some places and people are like, yeah, I've never left town. It's just so, I realize how much of a privilege it is that I get to go and see the world, and it kind of shrinks down the world when you're a kid and you hear about places like Australia or South Africa. You don't ever expect to actually visit those places, but to visit there, not only visit there, but to have people be so hospitable and like excited to see you there is a surreal experience.
With you guys traveling the world, like you said, you're being exposed to obviously a lot of cultures and different music scenes. Does that affect the way you write your music and just your outlook on life in general?
I don't know if it necessarily affects the way we write musically, but it 100% affects my outlook on life, and which in turn affects the lyrics of our record. Just seeing how others live, and you see things on the news, and then you travel to that part of the world, and you're like, oh, it's nothing like I've been told my whole life.
Now, what's the difference when, for example, let's say playing in front of a home crowd who have seen you hundreds of times before, to playing in front of a crowd who have never experienced your music?
Back in the day, I used to be like, man, this isn't very much fun. But more recently, as the band gets a little more known and just beyond that, just gets better as a band, whenever I play in front of a crowd of people who aren't familiar, I've gained a sort of confidence where I'm like, my goal is to win everyone over tonight, which it was that when I was younger, just with a little bit of, self-consciousness, because when you're younger, you're nervous already, but the older I get, the more experienced I get, the more I look forward to the challenge of winning over a new crowd.
So what can South African fans expect from a Fit for the King performance?
Well, a lot of breakdowns, which anyone that's listened knows that's coming. Crazy pit. Sometimes we do a wall of death if the crowd's up to it. A lot of jumping. Just a lot of moving around, so expect to get a workout.
That's it. Get a workout. Get those calf muscles ready.
Exactly.
As for Fit for a King, what do you guys like doing when you're away from music?
I really enjoy movies. I go with my brother often. I enjoy video games. It's a good way for me to stay connected with people we've toured with, our friends from other states. Those are my two biggest. Hanging out with my wife as well.
Okay, brilliant. So tell me, keeping on that, your favorite video game and your favorite movie that you're playing and watched recently?
I guess right now the video game I've been playing the most is Battleground. Also play Little League of Legends. I'm also a huge sports game fan.
Me too. I love my FIFA. I play it non-stop.
I haven't ever played FIFA, but I know a lot of my friends do. I always end up with Madden or NBA 2K. I know that those sports aren't as popular around the world. So.
Yeah. Well, no, when I used to play my Sega store, I used to live on obviously all my American sports. So NHL, NFL, NBA, all those games I used to play non-stop.
But I know soccer's definitely, every time I've toured Europe or Australia, everyone's playing FIFA. Oh, maybe I should try it out. I need to learn the rules of, I'll say football. I'll respect that you guys call it football. Which it honestly makes more sense since you use your feet.
Lastly, what are you guys going to, have you got anything planned once you actually get to South Africa that you guys are going to be doing?
I believe we're getting put up in a resort. I'm not sure where in South Africa it is. I've just been told it's amazing and it's like a little cabin on a wildlife reserve. So we'll play the 3 shows and then relax and just enjoy South Africa for 5 or 6 days, which isn't that common. Usually when we play other countries, it's just shows and leave. We just played Europe for a month, and we had 28 shows in 29 days and then left. So not much sightseeing, but I'm glad I'll get to enjoy South Africa.
No, I'm glad to hear that. Awesome. Well, Ryan, thanks a lot for taking some time out to talk to us. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing you guys in June.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan.
My memories are like a noose around my neck. I can never let go.